Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is Dear Profiler Pat, where I give advice like Dear Abby, but more in depth and a little bit broader and a little bit more straightforward. So please do subscribe to the channel, like this video, uh, click the bell for notifications, and check my playlist for the different topics I cover. Okay, and I also want to let you know if you would like me to answer one of your questions, please do send an email to profilerpatbrown@gmail.com and put in the subject line, Dear Profiler Pat. Okay, this question just came into me. Dear Profiler Pat, how do I tell my family I do OnlyFans? Okay, so this is the email that came in. Hi, criminal profiler Pat Brown. I'm a huge fan. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. Thanks for all that you do. I appreciate that as well. How do I tell my family I do OnlyFans? I recently lost my job in finance and have made so much more after signing up for OnlyFans, which I'm not surprised. OnlyFans can really bring in the money. Since I am not at work, they often question how I have so much money and what I do during the day when I'm supposed to be at work. Okay, I'm going to guess, even though you're a great fan of mine, you must have missed all the videos I've ever done because I'm not fond of OnlyFans, and I'm going to give you a straightforward answer on this. You may not like it, but I'm going to give it anyway. And I'm going to give that for everybody who gets themselves involved in the sex business, which I call prostitution, because nobody likes to say that it was sex work or whatever they want to come up with these days. It's always been known as prostitution. You're selling sex for money. That's what it is. What's the problem with this? Well, there's a big problem, and it shows up right in your email. How do I tell my family I do OnlyFans? Why do you have a problem with telling your family? I mean, I do criminal profiling. The day I started criminal profiling, I told my family I'm doing criminal profiling. I also became an interpreter, sign language interpreter. I was excited. I told my family I'm a sign language interpreter. I do artwork. I say to my family, I'm an artist. I may not, I'll tell them whatever I'm doing. I'm going to tell them if I even build it up a little bit. I'm excited about it. Why aren't you willing to tell your family you do OnlyFans? Why are you like, because you're embarrassed. Because you know they're not going to be happy. Well, why is this? Because you know it is not a good thing. You know it's not moral. You know it's not ethical. You know exactly what it is. You're selling yourself in a fairly despicable manner, in a very public forum, to people to have sex with a person they do not know, whether it be physically having sex or on their side of the computer. It's not something to be proud of. It's not. That sex is always supposed to have been between two people who are attracted to each other, hopefully in a relationship that is an ongoing relationship that gives them security, that they can express love toward each other and then build a family with each other. That's the old traditional way. And I know things have changed, and some people say, oh, you're just getting old. But at least it should have been, sex should be something that is, on both ends, is something which is a part of a relationship, not just masturbation with another person, which it has become a lot of in this world. It's very sad, actually, that once upon a time, the concept, well, okay, I'm not stupid. I know that prostitution has been around since the world started, and that people will sell themselves for money and food. I know this. And some people do actually have to sell themselves to eat or to feed their children. And that's a whole different group of people. Those are people who are desperate. They're desperate because they're trying to survive. That's different than you have other ways to survive, but you're choosing this over those other ways to survive because you can make more money, or because you think it's cool, or you think it's exciting, or whatever the hell your reason is, or because you're a narcissist, or because you're an exhibitionist, or because you're possibly a psychopath. Not necessarily you who's writing the letter, but there's a lot of people out there who like to abuse other people with what they do. And having other people use you and you use them for sex has nothing to do with love. nothing to do with kindness, nothing to do with making the other person happy in a way that you're pleasuring the other person because you care about them. No, that's not what this whole thing is about. It's about, it's a very sick sense of mind. If you're not doing prostitution just for the sake of survival, and the people who do that for the sake of survival aren't bragging about it like, oh, I just love being a prostitute. I just love selling my body 10 times a day for people who are grotesque to me. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, I need to do this because my child is starving. If you don't have a starving child, why are you doing it? Why don't you? There's a million ways to make money in this world, and that is not one of them. Especially if you have, what are you? You were in finance. You're not a stupid person. You have other ways to make money. I don't even care if you have to go drive around and do DoorDash. Okay, do DoorDash, do Uber, whatever you need to do to earn a living that you can be proud enough of. Even if you have to say, hey, family, I've lost my job in this business because of whatever. So until I can get the next, decent employment, I want to do something that is acceptable. So I'm doing DoorDash because what's wrong with DoorDash? DoorDash is a way that if you own a vehicle, you can make a living. You're helping people out by doing a good thing, by bringing them food. You're helping the restaurant. You're helping the people who want the food to be delivered. You work for Amazon. I use Amazon a lot. I've used DoorDash. I'm happy when the person shows up on my door. They're providing a good service to me. They're providing a good service to the company. And some of them are making pretty decent money. I use Uber all the time across the world. I respect all my Uber drivers. So this is a mutual relationship where I pay somebody for a service they provided, which they can be proud of and I can be proud to receive. But if you're providing a service which is basically grotesque, that you're showing your body off in a way to whole piles of strangers so they can jack off on the other side of the computer screen, behind the backs of their family, maybe their wives, maybe their teenagers who found their way in, who don't need to be seeing this stuff. Maybe they're pitiful people. There are some pitiful people out there that they in the sense that they can't get a date. They can't seem to get themselves a mate of any sort, can't get into a relationship. And so they just have sex in the privacy of their bedroom in a pitiful state. But you're taking advantage of them. You're saying, oh, look, I know there's people out there and they're like messed up. Let me take advantage of them. What they might need is to improve their lives. They might need to go to therapy. They might need to have a better attitude so that they can eventually be in a relationship where they can have mutual sex, where they can give somebody pleasure because they love them, they want to make them happy, and vice versa. That's what it's supposed to be. But because they can't achieve that, you're just going to take advantage of them and have them pay you so that they can jack off on the other side of the screen. And almost always it's males. Right, because very few females are going to pay for that. So I mean, I'm not saying they're not out there, but we're talking heavily a male population, and it's not healthy for the society because it discourages a lot of these males to even make an effort to be a part of society. They're like, oh, well, heck with it, I'll just go on OnlyFans, And a lot of stuff is kinky on OnlyFans. It's not pretty sex. It's kinky stuff. And people who are in situations where they're not in loving relationships, they get bored easily. And so they go on to things that they're trying to get themselves excited sexually. And so they go on to more and more kinky stuff. That's not a healthy thing. And to promote that is not a healthy thing. Now, again, do I say that it's you have no right as an individual? If another individual wants to hook up with you on Tinder, and you want to hook up and do whatever you want to do together, and both of you are in agreement that you're basically just using each other for sexual pleasure, do you have the right? Of course you have the right. I still think it's sad, but you do have the right, because it's not the same thing as being in a loving relationship where sex is part of kindness and romance and just it's a completely different thing. So we have what is a healthy sexual relationship over here, and then we have these days a whole lot of unhealthy sexual relationships. A lot of it is masturbation. It's just masturbation with an unknown person who is you use and they use you. The user, both are users. One is making money, and the others were getting pleasure in their own little pitiful basement room that they're in. but both sides, you're both ashamed of it. Now, sometimes there's those people that come out and they brag about what they do on OnlyFans. Oh, I'm on OnlyFans. It's just, and I'm going to say narcissism is the reason they're out bragging about it, because they don't care about other human beings. They don't care what their family thinks. They don't care what their friends think. They don't care about anything except making money and getting people to pay attention to them. They're highly narcissistic. Those are the ones that brag. The ones that don't brag are the ones that probably are a much nicer person, a much less disturbed person, because you have that part of you that says something is wrong here. I shouldn't be doing this. My family is going to be appalled because I'm doing something that is not a good thing. And the person on the other side paying this money, usually they don't brag about, because they're pretty pitiful, that they're spending their money on some stranger so they can see their different body parts and jack off to it. Yeah, it's very, very sad, and it's sick. So, I in no way, I think our world has, because of the internet, has gone bonkers with massive amount of sexual deviancy and this type of sex that shouldn't be happening. I mean, I'm not saying that masturbation is wrong. I'm sure most people have done it. But, people used to do it in the sense of a kind of, about alone in their bedroom in their little, and their little fantasies, either imagining a girl or guy that they really are attracted to, or, some movie star. But at least it was more of a personal, just in your head thing. Whereas now, because of everything out on the internet, people are just being inundated with a whole lot of very unromantic, shall we say, types of sex being presented to them, so that they almost become disenchanted with sex in the sense of the normal sex. And also, they're losing respect. If a man watches a whole bunch of women degrade themselves on the internet and allow themselves to be degraded by groups of men at one time, be degraded by sex acts where clearly they're not going to get any pleasure out of, that's mostly painful sex acts or insulting sex acts or brutal sex acts, they lose respect for women in general. And we're having a problem with teens these days. When they're getting involved, 13, 14 years old, they're wanting stuff that once upon a time people didn't even know you were supposed to even think about doing. There are young people in their teens wanting anal sex. There are young people in teens wanting to do bondage in their teens. And I remember back to my teens, I wonder what it was like to kiss a boy. I wasn't at 17. What is it like to kiss a boy? I didn't know. And I had the romantic notions. Oh my God, one day I'll kiss a boy. I didn't go out with a kid when I was 13 years old and he's saying he wants to tie me up and have anal sex with me. What the heck? Because he has no respect. He has no romantic feelings toward a female or whoever who's involved in whoever, no romantic feelings, no like, oh, I'm excited to be with this person. It's like, how can I use this person for my own perverted sexual needs? Because I've lost even the desire to have a romantic, beautiful sexual experience. There's the movies that are out there and the songs that are out there where a person is saying how much they love the person, how think that beautiful they are, and they can't wait to hold them in their arms and kiss them and love them all over. There's very sweet ways of saying these things where it excites the other person because they feel that love coming toward them and the sensuality of it all. And then it blossoms into something beautiful and sexually exciting. Not some guy who says, "Can I tie you to the bed and whip you?" There's a big difference between the two things. And this is what we're seeing a lot of. So I'm sure on OnlyFans, whoever you are, you're not providing romance. You're not providing sensuality and beauty. What you're providing is a level of perverted sex for desperate and maybe mentally ill people that are willing to pay for what you're willing to offer. Both of you need to get a better life. Those are my thoughts on this. It's a little brutal, I know, but I think, you're destroying your life and you're never going to get it back. You're making yourself pull yourself quickly from there. Whatever is public forever on the internet. At least once upon a time, people could go, involved in prostitution. Let's say somebody ran away from home and they're involved in prostitution for 6 months of their life. And then they got out of prostitution and then moved on and got married, had children, whatever they did. They weren't those moments that they were involved in aren't recorded anyplace, and they could move on and be whoever they wanted to be. I remember when I went to Hollywood when I was 19, and I was offered a job, a layout with Penthouse, and also with some video company that wanted me to be one of Charlie's angels, but they weren't so angelic, shall we say. A free trip to France. And I was going to be one of the 3 angels. Yeah. And I was smart enough at 19, thank God, to say no, because I knew, first of all, I thought it was creepy, but I also I knew that Penthouse was forever. Photos would be there. And if I went and did the video would be forever somewhere. And I thought, what about my parents? What if my parents see these photos of me or see this video? What if the future children would see this kind of thing? I can't do this. So I turned both of those down. I remember one of them was $25,000, and I was not. I was just an extra in Hollywood. I was a very attractive young 19-year-old, but I wasn't doing the casting couch. I wasn't getting any work. So, I was making $25 a day doing extra work. And this was $25,000. Big money for me. And I said no, because I knew it would be forever if it went into print or video. Get out of OnlyFans as quickly as you can so that hopefully nobody will ever find out about it. Get yourself a better life. You have the smarts to do it, and money is not worth it. Believe me. I've made good money in my life, maybe little money in my life. I've had ups and downs, and everything that's been important in life has been about what I've done that's been something good. It's been about family. It's been about friends. It's been about being able to achieve projects in my life that I can be proud of. Like the books right here that I wrote. Things that I can be proud of. Even if they didn't make me money. This one made me some good money. This one made me absolutely nothing. And I love this book, but publisher kind of stabbed me in the back on that. But I can still be proud of it, even though it didn't make me money. Do something that you can be proud of. And if you're not proud enough to tell your parents, walk in front of everybody on holiday and say, hello, Merry Christmas or whatever. Guess what I'm doing? If you can't do that, you know what you're doing. It's not good. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this. If you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. Check the playlists and send me your questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.